How are we doing? Woo! Woo! Yeah, me too. Ladies and gentlemen, it would be a great pleasure to welcome your host of the Meltdown, Mr. Morris Bartlett.
Oh,
yes.
Hi. Hello, Internet. How are you? Hi, I am Morris Bartlett, the king of your Sunday night meltdown, Wednesday meltdown. I don't know what day it is. I don't give a fuck. Hi, welcome. Listen, you guys all know what the show is, but I'm just gonna tell you in case an internet archivist is looking back to the early roots of the show before we've taken over nations and wants to see where we started. I'll just tell them that this is an online comedy variety show where I bring delightful people who are wonderful, and they tell jokes and they push envelopes and they try experimental comedy. And most of the times it's great, and some of the times it sucks, and we either like it because it's great or we make fun of them and enjoy their misery. Okay, I'm Morris Bartlett. I'm your king. I rule this tiny little piece, this window, this square of internet, this little, that's my domain right there. This is my friend with actual talent. His name is Ty. Let's give a little love to Ty. I like it.
Yeah.
Ty, as you can see, is a guitar player, and he's actually a fantastic one. Hi Ty, how have you been?
I've been pretty good, man. How about you?
Not bad. For those of you watching from the future, it is early May in Vancouver. It is hot out. Summer is here prematurely. The quarantine is kind of starting to taper off a little bit. And what that means is we're still unemployed, but we're not scared anymore. So it is now adult summer vacation.
Yeah, it is the greatest thing.
It is the best. I'm not ready to go back to work. I don't want to live a normal life anymore.
I don't know what everyone's so upset about.
Bro.
Dude, I went and played disc golf today. I've been smoking so much weed. Yeah,
Yep.
to appreciate it.
We have.
I'm getting my allowance from the government.
The government. Nice.
Yeah.
I have been using mine to buy spray paint, and I've been graffitiing the neighborhood. I have convinced some of my friends to come join me in graffitiing.
It's really fun, and we're literally 12 years old.
We're committing juvenile crimes in our 30s.
Yeah, it's seriously like 12 years old. Like I bought a bike.
Yeah, he bought a bike.
And the other day I went past this guy's garage. There was this old guy working on like some boat or something. And I just stopped and I was like, "Hey, mister, what you working on?"
Yeah.
And he was like, "You're 33. Get the fuck out of here."
It's the best. Yeah. Also, we have moved into a house that does not have air conditioning, and it is officially summer hot now. We have been wandering around shirtless like we have body confidence.
Kids out.
Ty does have body confidence. I have just misplaced confidence. You don't have body confidence?
No, not really.
You have Ty has these lines right here.
Morris thinks because Morris thinks that I'm skinny to have a dick root, then that means I have a desirable body. But like if you a skeleton has dick root, dude. Okay.
Listen, I have this a little bit, and it's nice, right? I'm built a little bit like my Ukrainian forefathers who are at some point somebody fucked a yak and result, right? And that's nice. On this part right here, I do okay right here, and then all this is just fat dude shit. Right? Listen, I'm in Vancouver now, so I've been obligated to lose a bunch of weight. I'm not eating pierogies 2 meals a day. I'm not quite as fat as I used to be, but it is still fat dude shit. I am too fat for Hollywood. So you're covered in tattoos and you're lean enough that mere shirtlessness says, "Come suck my dick."
I look like the descendants of my Hungarian roots, only who didn't survive the war. It is. If I shave my head, people start giving me like $1 a day. It's fucking great. But after the show runs out, I might do that. I don't know. We'll see.
That's fantastic. It is hot enough that that we're gonna start having late night issues. Like, I don't know about you, but if it's 1,000,000 degrees out, I can't sleep. And if I can't sleep, I gotta go get up to something. And a lot of the times it is seeing if a girl I know also can't sleep. Right? Or fuck it, I'll just wander the neighborhoods and just weirdly a lot of people in the neighborhood also can't sleep. That's where you find like people on their back deck at 4 o'clock in the morning who will offer you a beer.
What?
Yeah, I don't know if you know this, but there is a nightlife out there of insomniac weirdos, and they're very friendly.
They're just called coke addicts, dude. I was one.
They're lonely. Their only friend is the night.
Right?
That's actually really deep.
We are well into doing drugs season. So I don't know about you, but the sunlight is starting to activate my mania. I'm gonna hit a manic
That
spurt.
hallucinogenic
That's
tingle,
probably gonna last 4 months, and I'm gonna start doing acid in the bank.
Waiting in line at the bank.
Yeah, I've done it, and it is a problem. You're sweating. You're trying to hang on. You really want them to not ask follow-up questions.
Terrible.
You're practicing basic interactions in your head beforehand, but you don't realize that it's not in your head. You're just rehearsing the conversation you're going to have. 5 feet from the you're going to have that conversation.
Monologue.
Kind of, yes.
Like, what? Why
Yes.
are you saying the intro to Ferris Bueller's Day Off? This is weird.
So that, okay, listen, we have a nice, cute show tonight. Well, we're keeping it nice and light. I think we'll probably run a little bit short. I don't know, man. I want to play some video games. I want around the neighborhood.
He's honest.
I want to graffiti some encouraging remarks on local electrical boxes, and then have someone post them on the internet later, and then I get to pretend that I don't know who it is.
That happened.
That happened earlier today. So let's bring on our friend of the show. You know her and love her. It's a pleasure to have her. It's my privilege that she comes on here. I'm so happy to have her in my life. She's delightful and also hilarious. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give a little love to Jessica Pichot.
Woo! Morris.
Welcome back.
You know, it's kind of a shame that I never introduced you because you shower me with compliments and then I feel weird about it. But like weird in a good way, so I don't know. I too have been struggling with the heat, so I've not been shirtless because, to be honest, it's sweater vests all the way down. I don't actually have a chest; it's just progressively smaller and smaller sweater vests. That being said, it's hard not to feel a little self-conscious in this household because I am descended from a great deal of hairy Frenchmen and hefty German farm women. Like all of my ancestors roamed the prairies with a baby on one hip and a full calf on the other. And meanwhile, my roommate is Welsh and has the body of a god, specifically Jesus nailed to the cross. And And I've just it gets very hot in this apartment, and he's the one who shelled out for an air conditioner, and he keeps his room like vacuum sealed to keep in the cold. So I've just been sleeping on the balcony. You hear the arguing neighbors, and it almost feels like friendship. I had a pretty wild weekend. I went to a party with 6 whole people. I set fire to a bathroom, not mine. And I may or may not have a job in 2 weeks. Yeah, my contract's coming to an end. I was on a casual contract with Service Canada, the people who do, passports, employment insurance, etc. But, when my boss was talking to me about it, she was like, we might be able to get you another position. We don't know. But on the bright side, you've worked with us long enough. You could probably get EI. I'm like, you're firing me just so you could pay me anyway?
Honestly, it's the best. I recommend you do it. Come hang out with us.
Yeah. You got a bicycle? Let's roll.
Yeah, but over the last couple of weeks, I've been doing a lot of reading out on the balcony, and I wanted to share I wanted to share something I found, a classic from historical sci-fi / fantasy circles in the United States. And I wanted to read a bit for you of a particular gem I found. The weather-beaten trail wound ahead into the dust-racked climes of the barren land which dominates large portions of the Nargolian Empire. Age-worn hoofprints, smothered by the shifting sands of time, shone dully against the dust-splattered crust of earth. The tireless sun cast its parching rays of incandescence from overhead, halfway through its daily revolution. Small rodents scampered about, occupying themselves in the daily accomplishments of their dismal lives. Dust sprayed over three heaving mounts in blinding clouds, while they bore the burdensome cargoes of their struggling overseers. Prepare to embrace your creators in the Stygian haunts of hell, barbarian, gasped the first soldier. Only after you have kissed the fleeting steed of death, wretch, returned Grigner. That, dear listeners, is the first paragraph of what is known as the Eye of Argon, written in 1970 by 16-year-old Jim Teas of St. Louis, Missouri, and published in the magazine of the Ozark Science Fiction Society, widely considered to be one of the worst prose works ever published in the genre.
I was gonna say.
It isn't just bad. No. It is almost flamboyantly terrible.
It is, yeah.
Filled with Baroque misspellings, avant-garde typos, and prose so purple it comes closer to puce. Like, they're never eyes. They're always emerald orbs. It's never blood. It's always crimson droplets of escaping life fluid. And like, they're never horses. They're always mounts and steeds. In fact, I'm not sure if he even uses the word horse more than twice. So most of these people could be riding giant saddled geckos for all I know.
That would be really nice.
The story of Grigner, spelled exactly how it sounds, an accordion with an E, barbarian warrior who wears a G-string. And I'm just going to assume that Jim means a loincloth here. Grigner likes wine, wenches, plunder, and wanton cruelty to the basic rules of grammar, not necessarily in that order. Jim Teas has never met an adjective he didn't like or an adverb he wasn't willing to abuse. Grigner's emerald green orbs glare lustfully at a dying soldier. A woman once queries bustily, and later states bustily. I will remind you this was written by a 16-year-old boy.
Definitely sounds like it. It was either that, it was either a 16-year-old boy, Frank Herbert, or Cormac McCarthy drunk.
Precisely. She later states whimsically.
Wait, she is
which isn't a word, but now I feel like it should be. I strongly suspect Jim of having some kind of vendetta against the word said. Maybe he was bullied by the APA style guide in middle school. Maybe he's in deep with the dialogue tag mafia, but I guess we'll never know. The Eye of Argon begins with a sword fight on horseback, or possibly on geckoback, after which Grigner heads to an inn where he has himself a well-earned drink and casually rips a man's arm off. Grigner then makes his way to Gorzom, which is presumably a city of some kind. Honestly, it wasn't totally clear from context. In Gorzom, Grigner meets a comely wench with orchid hair and a lice opaque nose. What follows is probably a sex scene, but might be an unusually messy hug.
Did you say an opaque nose?
An opaque nose. It is not see-through in the slightest. It's right there on your face, unmissable. And in Gorzom, Grigner meets apparently it's a challenge in science fiction at science fiction conventions. They all sit around in a circle and they try to read this as long as possible without cracking up. And if you laugh or you smile, you have to pass it to the next person. that's actually how I found out about this. In Gorzam, Grigner, no, that's, they're interrupted, he and the comely wench, by a drunken lout who claims that only he has the right to hug young wench. Grigner decapitates him and calls him a slut for some reason. And he's then arrested for murder because holy shit, dude, you can't just decapitate a guy for looking at your bird.
Look at your own bird, even.
Grigner is brought before the ruler of Gorzam, Prince Agaphim, and his evil chancellor, Agafund.
Oh.
The prince demands that Grigner show fealty, and Grigner refuses. By the surly beard of Mefurk, Grigner kneels to no man. For his insolence, the prince orders Grigner thrown into the dungeon and also calls him a slut. Away with the slut before I loose my control. Before he is subdued, Grigner stabs Agafund through the chest, and either he's very sturdy for an upper-level government official, or Jim forgot that he had already killed him off, because Grigner actually kills Agafund again in chapter 7.5. When Grigner awakens in the dark dungeons, here described as a Stygian cloud of charcoal ebony, he stares at the ceiling for a bit, thinking about the snow-capped mountains of his homeland and boning chicks. About 3 days later, or possibly just 20 minutes, when Grigner is on the very verge of madness and despair from the hideous torment of sitting in the dark with fuck all to do, and not but bowels of rancid food, and that is bowels, by the way, and water to stave off the pangs of starvation, suddenly Grigner gets attacked by a huge old rat that literally tries to rip his throat out with its teeth. He rather graphically murders the rat, then fashions its pelvis into a shiv, which he hides in his G-string and uses to slit up 2 guards, presumably because one of them called him a slut. He then tucks the rat pelvis back in his G-string, because you never know when that might come in handy again.
Fuck.
While escaping the dungeon, Grigner runs across several priests preparing to sacrifice a naked woman who is described as slender and exquisitely molded with huge outcropping breasts.
Yeah.
And I know you wrote this when you were 16, Jim, but I'm just going to have to ask you to calm down. It's not completely clear, but this is probably the same woman Grigner hugged at the tavern, because she's also described as having blue eyes and orchid hair, and I don't know how many women there are wandering the wastes of the Norgolian Empire with hair that particular shade of bright purple. No word on whether or not her nose is opaque or translucent, unfortunately. Grigner attacks the priests, slaughters them, and steals a giant red emerald from a jade statue, the Eye of Argon. Argon, incidentally, is an element on the periodic table. It is a noble gas like neon and helium. Jim, as a fine alum of the Missouri public school system, might not be fully aware of that. Similarly, red emeralds are in fact a thing that exists. They're known as red beryl, and they're actually quite rare. Though I'm not sure how willing I am to give Jim credit for that. Grigner rescues the female. The word woman is never used once in the entire novella. It transpires that her name is Carthena, but I'm honestly just amazed that Jim finally gave her a name. They leave the wretched place, and that is wretched, not wretched. Grigner kills Agafund again, and Carthena straight up murders Prince Agaphim by stabbing him in the face with a lit torch.
Oh, nice. Okay, so I will say, Jessica, you might be. Oh, by the way, I've changed my outfit. Jessica, you might be being a little unfair to our young 16-year-old Jim. What was his last name?
Teus. Or Thief, I don't know.
Okay, because I happen to know that Twilight 50 Shades of Grey was a Twilight fanfic written by an adult woman, and I don't think it's much better. And also, lots of lots of completely just awful bullshit gets made into like popular media. I don't know if you're aware of this. Like, for instance, in 1993, there was a Sega Genesis video game called Charles Barkley Shut Up and Jam.
Yeah.
In which Charles Barkley, in the deep future, accidentally destroys the entirety of downtown Los Angeles by performing a chaos dunk that destroys 6 million people. And then he later is hunted down by cybernetic Larry Bird as part of the basketball police.
When he's trying to arrest him, just hook shot him.
This is a real game that exists.
Oh man.
There's sequels to this.
Yep, there are sequels to it. There is Shut Up and Jam Gaiden, which I believe calls now. So I want you to know that Jim is just being creative in a strong tradition. Okay, let's not much. I'm sure he went on to write much better shit, and I'm sure probably has made 4 movies by Miramax by now.
I mean, in all likelihood. But I do like that you specified and noted to the audience that you had, in fact, changed your outfit, because we wouldn't want a live stream to have continuity errors.
Right, of course.
Yeah, no.
In any case,
Hot in here.
to end out the story, because I'm sure you're all on the edges of your seats. They managed to escape outside, but the Eye of Argon, when exposed to light of the sun, transform into a giant goo monster and sucks out a truly bewildering amount of blood from Grigner's leg, before Grigner stabs it with the torch and kills it. At this point, Carthena has fainted, so Grigner throws her over his shoulder like a sack of potato, and troots off into the sunset. Long live the king! 4 exclamation marks. Which I think we can all admit, for a 16-year-old from Missouri, is actually quite imaginative.
Yeah,
sure.
Probably watched a little too much Conan, but I'm glad he's exploring his creativity. Worse fan fiction has been written by 30-year-olds.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I'm so glad that you've been expanding your mind, Jessica. That's exactly.
I've been reading art.
Yeah.
That's what this shutdown is about. It's about art.
It is very much about art. Awesome. I love this show. I'm going to be real with you for a second. This has been a delight to do. I love the live meltdown. I love the online meltdown. I will say, though, I have a little bit of bad news for our audience. Because quarantine's winding down a little bit, we're cranking this down to once a week. We're going to become a once-a-week show. So I feel confident that you can grow enough that you don't need us twice a week. And
we believe in you, that you get through the week.
We believe in you. We're still going to see you every single weekend. I just want you to know that if you're looking for us on a Wednesday, you're probably going to have to check the archives.
Yeah. The other thing we decided about it too is like it'll give us a lot more time to like make a little more videos and more content that way.
Yeah.
Just a little more time to make some more fun stuff.
Sweet.
Don't forget to donate to the show at paypal.me/morris.bartlett.
There you go.
Right.
I would love a little bit of money, because I, like everybody else, am only getting my meat from drifters that I'm murdering. So, okay, let's bring on a friend. This next gentleman, he's a sweetheart. He's a point of light. Everywhere he steps, plants grow in his footsteps. He touches people and they turn from blind to seeing, from drunk to sober, and from dour to delightfully amused. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome all the way from Edmonton, Alberta, Canada, the one and only David Ray.
Woo!
Welcome back.
Oh. That was very kind and blasphemous. I appreciate that. I have to. Before I had some thoughts when I came into the show, and I'll get to that. However, I want to respond to a couple of things that I've noticed so far. One, we might be dunking on this kid Jim for writing this ridiculous book. However, you have to give him credit for writing a book.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I haven't written a book at all. Like I can't even criticize this guy. So, good on him.
I know a lot of people that have attempted NaNoWriMo and have not succeeded.
Yeah, that's right. Secondly, you were talking about Charles Barkley, Shut Up and Jam.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if this is the case, but that must have opened up a door, because a year later, the game Shaq Fu is released.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
Where, if you don't know what that game is, that was also released on the Genesis, and the premise of that was, I looked it up. Shaquille O'Neal walks into a dojo while heading to a charity basketball game in Tokyo, Japan. After speaking with a martial arts master, Shaq goes to another dimension, the second world, where he must rescue a young boy named Nezu from the evil mummy Set Ra. And it's Shaquille O'Neal in basketball gear fighting Mortal Kombat knockoffs, and it is the worst game I've ever played.
This is like magic. Heal too.
So yes, I didn't know about the Charles Barkley game though. That was
It was terrible.
Just
terrible. Just terrible. So terrible.
Did you know that if you do a particular kind of slam dunk, you will not only shatter the backboard, but also the entire city?
Yeah, and only Larry Bird is going to try to stop you.
I love it. Just a tall white guy from Boston is the only thing that's gonna.
Okay, I left it out. There's actually all of the popular players of that day, except for Michael Jordan, have future versions of themselves, and most of them are cyborgs. It is wild.
Yeah, they couldn't afford fucking MJ, dude.
Yeah,
There's
of
no
course
way.
not.
He was never in the NBA.
Of course not.
No.
Anyways, sorry. Go ahead.
I had forgotten about that game, but wild. So anyways, what I was thinking I was going to share with you today, this is a smaller gathering, a little bit more intimate, and that's why I figured I'd share this story from my life. This is more of a confession of sorts, and this is a true story. And maybe some people here can learn from my story, because you're always in a path of like self-discovery, right? You're learning more about yourself as you get older, and you discover more about the world. And this is an absolutely true statement that I'm going to say. I didn't know that I was circumcised until the age of 23. Yeah, like here's the thing. Like I had heard of circumcision, but they don't tell you much in church about it. They just say it happened, and they don't. This is the only clue that they give you in church is they cut off the tip, and that's that. And then they just like go and figure out the mystery on your own, I guess. And so the thing was, how did I eventually find out? How did I piece it together? Was it, my family finally explained to me, oh, right, Dave, I'm sorry, I forgot to tell you. Or like friends, or like the church, or like I took like a, sex ed class. No, I found out because of Spike Television. Which, if you're learning anything about your own personal life from Spike Television, there are so many problems in your life. It's a problem. And if you don't remember what Spike Television was, it was like a frat house fucked a TV channel. The thing was, the reason why I happened across it is I was like going through the TV channels, and like I saw that there's like this little documentary, and it was like, oh, it's about circumcision, and it was on Spike. I'm like, oh well, I've heard of circumcision. I knew like a little bit about it because it is in the Bible, and that's the only science textbook I had read by that point in my life. And so I was like, yeah, I'll watch it. And at first, I was on board. I was like, right, correct. That makes sense. Yes, this is all checking out. And then just like, wait a minute. It just dawned on me slowly. And then I decided to give a phone call to my mother. And I just like, hey, Mom, hi, how's it going? Here's a question for you. When I was little, I don't know, did I have any major surgeries or anything? I don't know. And she's like, no major surgeries. Okay, so you're telling me that I was not circumcised. Oh, you were circumcised. That definitely did happen. And I was like, okay, here's the thing. If somebody's taking a knife to my penis, that's at least major surgery. If not a crime, you know? So here's the thing. Since they only tell you in church that, you know, they cut off the tip, this is what really made it bothersome for me is you got to imagine, I thought I was uncircumcised when I was in fact circumcised. And so when I heard them say cut off the tip, I thought they meant cut off the
Whoa.
And just like leave a stump there. You're like, ah.
I have no penis and I felt that.
Yeah, I know, right? Because here's the thing. In my thought, as I was like younger and thought about circumcision, and like my dad separately, like he had lost his fingertips in an accident, and every once in a while he'd bump into something and he'd be like, "Oh, son of a bitch!" And I'm like, "Could you imagine if that was your penis?" At that moment, like I would think about that. I'm like, man, Jews are badass motherfuckers. You know what I'm saying? Like, off cookies. You don't want to mess with them. And then now that I found out, it was like it made a lot more sense. But of course, here's the thing. Like my previous understanding of circumcision was such that it's like it colored Bible stories for me. Even, you know, because like think about like the story of David and Goliath, right? Like that story, it's supposed to be about like this young boy who's like taking on this mammoth man, and it's supposed to be this impossible fight, and the young boy overcomes in these impossible odds, and it's this young Jewish boy. And to me, I'm like, yeah, that's an unfair fight, because what is a guy going to be doing to a guy who lost half of his dick, you know? Lose. Like, David's just going to come out there naked and just like, yeah, suck it. You can't. It's not there. Let's go. He's ready. You know, like it colors everything. Anyways. So that's a very true story. And that's what I shared with you tonight. And so what I'm telling you is, if you don't know, maybe call your mom up and check in with her, and you'll be surprised. By the way, I've told this story a lot of times, and every once in a while, I'll have people come up to me and like, they'll also confide me like, yeah, I didn't know until I was like in my 20s that I was circumcised. So it's like, I like to think that somebody in the audience learned something about themselves.
I guess.
I have a question for David.
Yes, please.
What did you think about this story when Saul commands David to bring him 200 Philistine foreskins?
I was also thinking that.
You know what I was thinking? Like what I was imagining? Yeah, oh yeah, super. But you know what I was just imagining? Because this is another truth thought. I just imagine like a basket full of like things that look like mushroom caps. That's what I kind of imagine in my brain. Yeah. As an image, just like bloody mushroom caps.
I can't help but notice that in this whole story, David at no point thought to just Google circumcised dick.
Well, why would I? Why would I? Because I thought, like, here's the thing, like, I just innately thought I was uncircumcised, right? Like, that's the natural state,
I have a normal penis.
Right?
That's what my penis has always looked like.
Yeah, like, unless
how many
somebody tells
penises do
you,
people watch? Like, see, you know?
Yeah, like, if nobody tells you that, oh, by the way, your penis is different than most other penises, then, like, why would you think that there's something wrong with it? Like, I mean, it did fill in a gap for me where it was just like, what's this weird line underneath? Oh, that's a scar. Now I know that that's a scar, but I didn't know that. I'm like, oh, that's a weird thing. Anyways, back to my life.
That's what that is?
Yeah, that's
Back to playing
No, you know what though? You're right though. It is a fucking weird thing growing up because it's such a hard thing to wrap your head around as a kid because you're like, okay, cool. So the Jewish community does this. Your mom's like, right. And you're like, but we're Catholic. It's
Right.
Like, right. Okay. So wait a second. You're like, oh, then there's like, Christians do it sometimes too. And I love how these like three major religions fought over thousands of years, but they're like, that part's gotta go.
Well, do you know why non-Jews in North America do circumcision? Do you know about this?
No. Continue.
Okay, so as we point out, circumcision is a Jewish thing, and in most of the world, it's basically only Jews that do it. Except here, just fucking like almost everybody does it. Thankfully it's going out of fashion. But what it is John Kellogg of Kellogg's cereal.
That guy's a dick, by the way.
Gay man? What?
Yeah, never mind.
John Kellogg was a
John
doctor who
Kellogg
invented
of
cereal.
Kellogg's cereal in the 1920s was a Puritan, and he thought that so many things were evil and would lead you to temptation that he made bland, flavorless cereal on purpose.
He invented cereal though. Like, let's be honest though. Like, he has the credit for that.
And then also he put a lot of money into advertising for circumcision, specifically because he said it would make boys stop masturbating and be more productive.
I will tell you that
make it less
not
sensitive.
true at all.
Actually, I think there's something to that because the audience by now is totally used to me sharing way too much information about my dick. So get ready for one. I am a circumcised man, and I can only come if I make myself do it. That is not normal. It takes like I had to Zen master that shit. I had to like learn it, like when a girl learns how to orgasm, I had to go through that whole thing. And I'm convinced that it's because I was circumcised. I would like my foreskin back. Nobody asked me. Nobody paid me for it. It's not in a box anywhere.
Yeah.
We don't even know where it is. I want it back.
I think I saw it in the grocery store. It's just in with the other mushroom caps, I think.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
There could be a business where you regrew a foreskin though. Like, let's be honest, with 3D printing and everything. Like, this could happen. This could work.
There are in fact people that are very anti-circumcision, and some of them have decided to try to stretch what little remains.
Oh, okay. Oh God.
That will fix it.
I was on board, and
apparently it kind of works.
But implants and stuff.
No, it doesn't.
If you were attaching weights to the end of your dick to try and make a foreskin again, you don't have enough to do in your life.
Yeah.
Get a hobby.
I look forward to after the show when we're looking at the analytics, and there's just a massive drop about 38 minutes in.
Can confirm.
Or if anything, we just get a lot of the foreskin weirdos.
Cannot confirm.
My favorite thing about the Kellogg's is like there's actually two Kellogg brothers. There was the Dr. Kellogg who wanted everybody to stop slapping the monkey. And then there was his brother who was the guy who did his much younger brother who was like his whipping boy who he always took for granted and like just sort of like walked all over. But he was the business mind. And so John Kellogg wanted this to be like this anti-masturbatory bland cereal. And then like his brother's just like, yeah, but what if we covered it in sugar? And he's my favorite Kellogg.
Yeah, it brought
the better Kellogg.
And because of that, that's why now masturbation is everywhere. You know, everybody loves it.
It's great.
That's great.
It's
great.
We have an act next who he's had a unique advantage in this quarantine. We have all spent this time not able to get laid because of social distancing. And your next act was born in the dark. He was molded by it. Until he was a man. He is stronger in that respect than all of us combined, and it's my pleasure to have him on the show. Everybody, please help me welcome Mr. Robert Pay. Welcome back.
I've been reading up on this foreskin restoration thing. It's real. It has a history from ancient Greece, like from fucking ancient Greece. People have been stretching their dick out, the foreskin out to regrow it. Like that's actually a real thing that people have done. And like 33 out of 34 people have found satisfaction from regrowing their foreskin, and that is fucking insane.
That sounds like that was paid for by the lobby for Big Foreskin. But...
No, it's Healthline. Here, I'll post this link on here if Tanner could share with the rest of everyone else. This is actually holy shit. You can just what the fuck? I thought the whole point of circumcision was that it was a commitment. Like you gotta the foreskin can't be regrown. Like everything else is like it's too dangerous, right? Like, but like no, this is a thing that people have done. That's crazy.
If you regrow it, does it breach your covenant with God? I need to research this.
Yes, that probably does. It's like, what the fuck? You can't just regrow a foreskin.
No backsies for Jesus.
Yeah, no backsies, right? You're not supposed to be able to masturbate again. Go fuck it. I'm not, you know.
I mean, or don't go fuck.
The Bible has never covered this. Like they haven't covered any other important topics. Like what if you regrow a foreskin? I think the technology wasn't there yet, and then like it got there, and now we're fucked up people, like sort of like anal, I guess. I assume that's why it's not covered in the Bible is because they haven't thought of it yet, or like.
I mean, they called it sodomy.
Did it? Is it though? Isn't sodomy?
No, sodomy was not from the Bible. That was somebody else who put that on.
Yeah, like anal was in the Bible because they were like. They didn't think of it. The technology wasn't there, so like they need to
technology for
rewrite. Yeah, the technology isn't there. That's why like all this new shit, like fucking like use of fleshlight is not like anti-Christian because you know it's a fake dick. It's a fake dick, and it's just the science isn't there yet, right? And that was later on, and the Bible has nothing to do with like fucking robots. Like you gotta, there's no regulation about fucking robots, right? So. You know, if you fuck a robot, you can still go to heaven.
We have a biblical scholar on the show at the moment.
Yes.
Maybe we should check with him.
Yes, I've read up a lot on this now.
David, I have to ask you, if you fuck a robot, can you still go to heaven?
It depends if you worship that robot, because if you do, then that's an idol, and then no. So
yeah, you don't have to work. You don't have to worship it.
Yeah, right? Is that a euphemism? Like, are you talking about tongue worship? Because if it's a robot, it derives no pleasure. So I ain't eating. Yeah. I'm not eating robot pussy, is what I'm saying. I'm not eating robot pussy.
I'm getting.
Oh my god, you're the first to go. If the robots take over, you're the fucking first to go. You gotta lick that pussy, bro.
Robert Pang.
That's racism. That's racism in a nutshell. Like, human pussy, you get a pleasure, and like robo pussy, you're not gonna pleasure. What the fuck?
Robots aren't people.
By the way, 18th century, someone would probably like black people aren't people either. Okay,
that's a statement that's gonna age like milk, Morris.
Yeah. The robot's gonna record everything. Like you're gonna be like, oh my god, robot on people. It's like, oh, that's really Morris.
Here's a compromise I'll make. I will say robots are at best 3/5 of a person.
See, this is bullshit.
Oh my god!
Into it.
What are we doing? A clan meeting? What the fuck is going on? This is a side of Morris we haven't seen before. Holy shit!
Racy.
Oh my god! You're not gonna lick a robot's pussy, and you're not gonna consider us people. Jeez. I bet Thomas Jefferson probably said like he probably doesn't lick pussy either because you know his wife died early, and then now he had a black mistress and. Now this has gotten into a weird place. I'm sorry.
We are in the wilderness, wandering for 40 years.
Also, another thing I'd like to address is the Eye of Argon. The book cover is actually amazing. Okay, it's like Google it, look at it. Like it's literally a lake that looks like an eye, like legit. Like it's just a really deep lake. That's like a hotspot lake, like in the Yellowknife, and they thought it was an eye. Like that's what it is. And also the font is in Arial. That's when you know the book is amazing, when the font is in Arial.
Okay, listen, Arial is a perfectly respectable font, all right? Don't be lumping that shit.
But like not in book cover form. Like I'd rather have a comic sample cover, right? So they can sell it, that shit, you know? Also, Jim Stasis, his life is actually really tragic. Let's be honest. He was the first troll. He got trolled by a lot of people, and he died early due to cancer.
Oh,
At
I'm sorry to hear
47.
There's a reason I didn't share that, Robert.
God damn it! I'm trying to be the killjoy here. Okay, I'm just
You wet blanket.
I happen to have the book cover here. If we
Yeah.
transition.
Show us.
I want to see this.
Yeah.
What have you got for us, Tanner?
Give me a second to actually start my video up here so
Alright.
you guys can see it. And now we're just
Alright,
gonna...
as a resident geologist, I would like to say that
Holy
this
shit.
lake is from Yellowknife National Park. It's one of those volcanic lake. You know, this is where
The
hot
one that
springs come
dissolves
from.
dogs?
Yeah. What?
What?
Wait,
Several
what?
people have died in Yellowstone due to wandering into a perfectly normal seeming lake that was actually deeply acidic and dissolving.
Oh yeah.
Whoa.
This would be one of those lakes.
Yeah.
Or this is like one of those sinkhole lake. Like it goes deep into the earth, right? And it's really hot. It's like that's where hot
Yeah, hot.
hot springs come from. Not hot tubs.
Yeah,
You
there
went
is.
to school, right?
Human beings do in fact have a melting point.
Yeah. And the dogs also have a melting point, and also
Fuck.
very important.
What's
I think he was talking about making dog soup.
I was
gotta tell you.
like, dude,
I wasn't gonna go there. Yeah.
Yeah,
This is the one time I wasn't gonna go there because of the sensitivity of the coronavirus.
Everybody's gonna know it's about what temperature to boil a dog at. It's gonna be Robert King.
Also, you don't.
yeah, you gotta smother it in panko and then fucking.
Although, like, if let's say if you do boil it, you gotta boil it in like mineral water, like those hot springs, right? It does make the dog taste better.
Boiled dog.
Right? Like Chinese medicine, like the hot spring is very good, and it's also gonna absorb the nutrient from the dog. So, like when you slurp it, you get a nutrient. Also, coronavirus. Okay, I can't say that but like coronavirus, the bats. It's the same principle. That's all you got the coronavirus too. But
Hot dog slurpee.
but instead of dogs, you got bats, and then that's how you get coronavirus. But if you do boil the dog, it slurp the juice, slurp the soup.
I don't think you can do that.
It's important. Healthy. Gotta put some pepper in that shit. But we have a good meal,
You gotta make sure the dog's circumcised though.
This is
No! The foreskin is the best part of the human body. Like there's a lot of nutrient in the foreskin, right? You just like look at it. It's like a thin texture, right? There's a lot of nutrient.
Oh my
See, this is why like Chinese people we have so many babies because our foreskins are intact, and it's not because we eat the foreskin, but it's also. Actually, the first time I saw a foreskin, I was like, "What the fuck is this?" Like, I thought when I moved to Canada, this is one of those immigrant stories, where it's like, humorous circumstance from an immigrant story. So the first time I saw a foreskin was I was in a water park right after I came to Canada, and then it was just me, my dad, and this random white guy with like a circumcised dick. Like I stared at his dick the whole time I was showering because I had no idea what the fuck this was dick. It's just like what like why is it so red? Like what happened? Isn't there like why is his dick so much different from my dick? And like I was just like staring at him, learning from it. And I thought like that's what like when you grow to maturity, your adult dick just looks like that. But then I looked at my dad's dick and I thought my dad's dick was not like less developed than his dick.
Yeah.
It was the thing. What's the same?
Pokemon evolution.
Yeah. All right, back to what I was gonna talk about. I'm enjoying the quarantine. Like you guys all live in like this is your first time embracing the darkness, but I've been in the darkness this whole time. Like I am. This is where I thrive. Honestly, this is where I thrive. Like I'm playing video game with all the people who haven't dedicated their life to video game. I'm just crushing them noobs, right? I think I'm seducing girls right now because like, do you want to play with a noob ass boyfriend or do you want to play with a prankster? Okay, like your noob ass boyfriend can't play fucking StarCraft. He's like, yeah, it's 90 APM. I'm 160 APM, motherfucker. It's playing a lot of StarCraft, and I've been doing a lot of fun shit. Like I started Warhammer. Look at this. Look at this. Look at how I glued this shit. Like look at how amazing this card effects is. I glued that shit, right? Like this is me. Like I also have like a warrior right here. Oh my god, I've been thriving under this pandemic. Like, oh my god,
you are gonna get some very smelly vagina out of this.
I've been using extra thin cement. Like this is actually fun shit. Like this is like gluing this reminds me of how I can glue my life back together. I don't actually know how to do that, but this is dude. I'm gonna get so much pussy from all the arts and crafts I'm doing on Instagram.
I have faith in you.
Yeah.
Congratulations, Mr. Pang.
Oh my god. Yeah. I just need right after the pandemic, you guys are gonna be weak from whatever the fuck you guys were doing, the lonely thing, but I am gonna be straight to girlfriendness. Like this
listen, man, I'm cheering for you. Let me know how that goes. Keep us appraised, okay? Hey guys, this has been like, holy shit, this has been like a fun, nice, cute little show. Hey, we learned a bunch of shit. We've had a very, very nerdy show with a lot of facts. A lot of them about dicks. This has been fun. This has been real fun. Okay, you know what? I'm gonna get out of here. I think you should too. There's still just a scooch of sunlight out there. Not really. Whatever. Go
Enjoy
outside.
the sun,
Meet people. Get some coronavirus. Maybe make a pandemic baby. Come see us next week on Sunday. We're doing this Sundays now. We love you and we're gonna miss you, but keep in touch. Be my Facebook friends. Give me money. Shower us likes on social media. Tell your friends. Just be nice to each other. This has been The Meltdown. I've been Morris Bartlett. And these have been my comedians. You're great.
Bye.
Thank you. Good night.
Bye.
Give a warm round of applause for your host, Morris Bartlett. Hi, Tyrant Studios. How are you? Fantastic. Good. What do we have tonight? Hello. Hi. Welcome to the show. Hi. Were you here for the earlier show? Yeah? Did you enjoy it? Okay. So you're in a very privileged position this evening. I know. I'm speaking directly to you. It's weird, right? I don't need a microphone to have a one-on-one conversation, and these people don't count as people, so I'm doing it anyways. Okay, so you just got to witness in the earlier show.